we go to peace talks.
Okay.
The United States and Russia are going to have a sit-down, a meeting of the minds, if you will,
All right.
on how to end the situation in Ukraine.
Do it!
That's a good thing. I'm Jasper Gonzo, and this, Zelensky complained.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
Trump told him to shut up.
Go fuck yourself.
And stop being a dick. Tater.
That's fucked up, man.
And it's what's next. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Jasper Gonzo, what's next? Your daily dose, common sense, facts, and salt. Hope you guys are feeling good today on this Thursday. Well, it was bound to happen sooner or later. We are, what? January 20th, January 20th, February 20th. Okay, we're a month into this thing. And so, the situation going on in Ukraine is going on for the better part of 3 years. And of course, you have those like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth wants to, get this shit done and over with and put an end to it. And of course, he can't do it without the president's permit. So, the president and President Putin, he almost forgot his name, from Russia. I'm going to have a little sit down, a little get together, a little meeting of the minds, if you will. So, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he brings him in, sends his staff over to, I forgot who knows where, to speak with Russia's higher ups to, preliminary talks to get the ball rolling on this whole situation. Now, here's the funny thing. Guess who wasn't invited to the party? Captain Sweatpants himself, Zelensky. Of course, he bitched. Trump told him to shut up and stop being such a dick. Tater. And here we go. This comes out of Breitbart. President Trump blasts Zelensky, a dictator without elections. Let's just hear from Donald right out of the gate.
You better not go in. Don't go in. Don't do something. A president.
Be back up to the beginning.
Russia wants to force Ukraine to hold new elections in order to sign any kind of a peace deal. Is that something that the U.S. would ever support?
Well, we have a situation where we haven't had elections in Ukraine.
True.
Where we have martial law, or essentially martial law in Ukraine.
True.
Where the leader in Ukraine, I hate to say it, but he's down at 4% approval rating.
True.
You have leadership, and I like him personally. He's fine. But I don't care about personally. I care about getting the job done.
Boom.
You have leadership now that's allowed a war to go on that should have never even happened.
True.
Even without the United States. Look, we had a president who was grossly incompetent.
Facts.
He had no idea what he was doing. He said some very stupid things, like going in for portions and all of the things. He made a lot of bad statements, but
True.
He's grossly incompetent, and I think everyone knew that. This is something that should have never happened, would have never happened. And I used to discuss it with Putin. President Putin and I would talk about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, I will tell you that. But there was never a chance of him going in. And I told him, you better not go in. Don't go in. Don't go in. And he understood that. He understood it fully. But I'm only interested. I want to see if I can save maybe millions of lives. This could even end up in a World War III. To be honest with you, you've been hearing now Europe is saying, well, I think we're going to go in and we're going to go. All of a sudden, you're going to end up in World War III over something that should have never happened. And, it's a very sad situation. Yeah, please.
Yeah, agreed with him on everything but that last portion, about War III. I think cooler heads will prevail. President Donald Trump slammed Ukrainian President Captain Sweatpants himself, Zelensky, as a dictator without elections, a day after Zelensky complained about Ukraine not having a seat at the talks between the U.S. and Russia. Gee, I wonder why. Trump ripped into Zelensky in a lengthy Truth Social post, first addressing him as a modestly successful comedian rather than president. Think of it. A modestly successful comedian, Vladimir Zelensky, talked with the United States of America into spending $350 billion to go in a war that couldn't be won, that never had to start, but a war that he, without the U.S. and Trump, will never able to be settled. The United States has spent $200 billion more than Europe. Europe's money is guaranteed, while the U.S. will never get anything back. Why didn't Sleepy Joe demand equalization, and with the war far more important to Europe than it is to us? We have a big, successful, beautiful ocean of separation. On top of this, Zelensky admits that half the money was sent is somehow missing. Gee, I wonder how that happens. He refused to have elections, is very low in Ukrainian polls, and the only thing he was good at is playing Biden like a fiddle. Yes, he kept on bending Biden over like a pimp to a hoe. A dictator without elections. Zelensky's better move fast or he's not going to have a country left. In the meantime, we are successful in negotiating the end of war with Russia, something all admit only Trump and the Trump administration can do. Biden never tried. Europe has failed to bring peace, and Zelensky probably wants to keep the gravy train going. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky has done a terrible job. His country is shattered, and millions have unnecessarily died. Wow. Trump added that his administration, which has a significant presence in Europe and Saudi Arabia over the past week, pushing for peace, is successfully negotiating an end to the war with Russia. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Special Envoy to the Middle East Steve Witkoff met Tuesday with Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov in Saudi Arabia. I said, who knows where? There you are. That's where.
I think I have the power to end this war. And I think it's going very well. But today I heard, we weren't invited. Well, you've been there for 3 years. You should have ended it 3 years. You should have never started it. You could have made a deal. I could have made a deal for Ukraine. I would have given them almost all of the land, everything, almost all of the land, and no people would have been killed, and no city would have been demolished, and not one dome would have been knocked down. But they chose not to do it that way. And President Biden, in all fairness, he doesn't have a clue. What he was so bad for this. He was so bad, so pathetic, so sad. But with all of that being said, look, it is what it is. When I left, there was no chance that this could have happened. But it happened because we had incompetent leadership at many different levels.
Boom.
But when you see what's taking place in Ukraine with millions of people killed, including the soldiers, millions of people killed, a big percentage of their cities knocked down to the ground. I don't know how anybody even lives there. You know, when they say they took a poll and Zelensky's at 4%, who's living there? You know, I mean, it's hard to believe that people live there. Their cities are being knocked down. And this is something that would have never happened. And by the way, for 4 years, it didn't happen. It was never going to happen.
New York Times Kiev Bureau Chief Andrew Kramer framed it. Zelensky lashed out at Trump administration after the meeting. Quote, decisions on how to end the war to Ukraine cannot be made without Ukraine, nor any conditions can be imposed, Zelensky said from Turkey, where he had traveled as part of a plan to tour the Middle East. Of course, we just got an update. He canceled it. Oh, what a shame. We were not invited to this Russia-America meeting in Saudi Arabia. It was a surprise for us, I think for many others as well. Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance notably met with Zelensky at Munich Security Conference last week, where, of course, J.D. Vance roasted the Germans on their lack of free speech, and of course, the Germans cried. Zelensky, conference last week in Germany, Zelensky said the discussion was, quote-unquote, good. We want peace very much, but we need real security guarantees, and we will continue our meetings and our work. We will be very happy to see General Kellogg also in Ukraine, he added. Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. You got Captain Sweatpants, who's been sucking off the teat of Europe and the United States under dementia for 4 years. $350 billion. So 200 from America, 150 from Europe, and of course, Europe's money is, quote-unquote, guaranteed. Gee, I wonder how they're going to do that. But of course, we're not going to get our money back, Zelensky's the pimp. He went into the room. He bent Biden over, got the money, and, he left a little something on the dresser, just to say, you know what? Good job, Joe. Good job. But, so far, so good. It's preliminary. Things are going well from everything that I've read. So, like I said, I think Putin is a reasonable dude. Him and Trump had a great relationship during the first Trump 1.0. So hopefully Trump 2.0, this situation will get resolved, and hopefully by the end of the calendar year. And with that being said, I'm Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it. Hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue spreading the word about the show. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace.